Game of the day on Christmas. Cowboys, Commanders. Dallas gets the ball back with about 2 minutes to go, up a touchdown, and they seal it with that. On fourth down, Dak Prescott straight ahead, able to move the chains and run out the clock. Cowboys beat the Commanders 30-23, a win for Dallas over Washington for the second time this season. Dak Prescott, 19 of 37, 307 yards. He's in the running with Matthew Stafford for most passing yards in the league this year. 2 touchdowns as well. 2 guys on your screen who scored for Dallas and left with injuries: Javonte Williams, Jake Ferguson. Williams with a shoulder, Ferguson with a calf. But Dallas able to withstand a pretty nice start in a spot here for Josh Johnson, his first start since 2021. All right, let's bring in Robert Turbin, Will Brinson now here on HQ. Chris Honorado with you guys. Will, what did you see here from Dallas, knowing their playoff hopes are done? Still, Dak has said this week, we're going out to play. We're going out to play to win still, and he had a big day.
Yeah, first of all, Chris, Merry Christmas to both you and Robert. And also, I just want to point out that it's kind of amazing to be. I'm at my parents' house. They have a farm in North Carolina. We're out there with a bunch of relatives, and you got cousins and people screaming, "Kick it, kick it! I've got the Cowboys plus -8.5" right there at the end. Right, that's what Christmas is all about. I thought the Cowboys, it's their season in a nutshell. Maybe this explosive offense. You can put up plenty of points. You have these weapons who haven't been completely healthy. CeeDee Lamb is targeted a bunch, but doesn't do a ton. And then, even though you got the win, you still look at this team and you think there are just questions about the defense and them being able to stop anyone. They're playing Josh Johnson in a completely decimated Commanders team. To me, it really is a microcosm of Dallas this season, because Dak Prescott had the Cowboys maybe get Micah Parsons or just been a better defensive team, probably is in the MVP discussion as we speak. Instead, they're sitting at home at Christmas. They're heading home at Christmas knowing they won't be in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think you bring a lot of great points, Will. The other thing I look at with Dallas, aside from their defense, is that, listen, I think Javonte Williams had a nice year this year as a 1,000-yard rusher. I thought he was going to be great. I thought it was a great signing at the start of the year for the Dallas Cowboys. But what they need at that position is a game changer. And I'm not saying that Javonte Williams shouldn't be back next season, but they do need somebody that can take a carry to the house 70, 75 yards, who has some explosive speed. And right now, they just don't have that game changer in the backfield. Javonte Williams is somebody who can move the chains. He's obviously a physical runner, but I think that's one of the elements outside of obviously being able to have a more stronger defense. That running game, that explosive running game, is one of the elements that they're missing. And when we think about the success of the Cowboys historically, even in recent history, when they've had an explosive runner, they've been a playoff team. I think that's something that they need to look at real hard this offseason.
And both of your guys' points here about the Dallas defense. Only one team in the last 40 years has led the league in both passing offense and last in the league in passing defense. Dallas is in position to be that team this year, depending upon what happens in Week 18. All right, let's look at Josh Johnson here, 39 years old, 4th oldest guy to make a start. Can you believe that? At 39, he's only the 4th oldest guy to make a start this year at quarterback. Phillip Rivers, Aaron Rodgers, and Joe Flacco. Robert, what did you see from the vet here making his first start since 2021?
Well, I saw a guy go out there and, perform as a person with a lot of experience at the quarterback position. He's a team-first player. I know Josh Johnson personally. We're both Bay Area kids. We've been teammates throughout his long career, and it showed itself tonight. The reason why he keeps getting opportunities is because of how he approaches the game, how hard he works, and the level of professionalism that he comes into the building with. And so today what I saw from him was just, he was accurate. He made some good decisions with the football, and you expect that from a guy who's been in the league as long as he has.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, great. I think that's a great point. And by the way, Josh Johnson, I mean, you talk about like his Wikipedia is going to have to add a second page for him to like get all of his stops included on when you look at all the places he's played. But yeah, very impressive outing for him. You know, it is nice to get that Dallas defense, and you know, but he still went out there and performed at a high level and probably got himself yet another paycheck down the road because he's been such an effective spot starter and backup. I think, you know, you give an A for effort because it was always going to be an uphill battle as more than a touchdown favorite, even at home on a holiday against a behemoth offense like Dallas. And I thought he performed rather admirably.
And if nothing else, guys, I don't think we've seen Josh Johnson in the Progressive professional backup commercials yet. It's time to get him time to get him a check from Progressive here with that great commercial campaign as well. All right, Will, start with me here on what the Commanders didn't do this season, or what they did, I guess, the 12 losses on your screens. The most losses in a season following a conference championship game since the Browns in 1990, with 13 there leading the way. And look, obviously Jaden Daniels was banged up through this season, but the defense at times really struggled, and maybe just for the entirety of the year. Will, what went wrong in Washington?
Well, I mean, you know, the Jaden Daniels thing is going to get all the attention, as you point out, Chris. But I think more notably for me is that this roster in Washington is really old. You know, when I'm talking about Josh Johnson here, I mean, I'm talking about the whole roster. It is, at some point during the year, I believe it was the oldest by more than a full year, which is, in terms of NFL players, I mean, that is a massive like chasm between them and the next oldest team. And, you know, they got Jaden Daniels last year, great draft pick, was an electric player. Obviously, the injuries, you know, potentially part of his game with how he plays. But the decision to kind of go all in and to trade for some of these guys, to sign some of these veterans, you know, you bring in like a Deebo Samuel, you got Zach Ertz out there, you know, great players. But I think Washington, you know, it's almost like it's not a negative they made the championship game, but because they went so far, I think they believed that by shoving all in on this season, maybe they could make a Super Bowl run. And when things don't break your way and you end up with an older roster, all of a sudden you do have to worry a little bit about the future and what you're going to surround Jaden Daniels with. So I think that is absolutely a concern for Washington, and probably part of the reason why things didn't go their way this year.
Yeah, you know, they made some tough decisions, I think, at the start of the offseason. You know, they go and get Deebo, like you mentioned, and some of those explosive guys. But I thought they lost some of the heart there at the line of scrimmage. They didn't go out and get a dominant pass rusher. You lose some of your offensive linemen. And I thought the big, you know, tough decision that the Commanders made this offseason was allowing Brian Robinson to go to San Francisco and play for the 49ers. I think Bill Merritt has had a nice season this year as a rookie. You know, but I thought they lost a little bit of that playmaking at the running back position, not bringing back Brian Robinson Jr. This year. And so I thought that was a little bit of a, you know, I guess, a hiccup for the Commanders heading into the season before it even got started. So that's something they're going to have to definitely correct heading into next year. They need a dominant pass rusher, and they need to shore up that offensive line.
Robert, one game to go for these teams that know they aren't going to the playoffs. Cowboys are 7-8-1, Washington 4-12. Contract incentives aside, as a professional, you've been in this spot here where you're going into a game with maybe not a lot to play for. How do you approach it mentally?
Well, you approach it like any other game. That's part of being a pro. Every game is the same. You know, whether you're in the playoffs, where it's the regular season, preseason, you want to get into that routine as a player. So that way, when you get into the bigger games and the elements are bigger or the situations are bigger or there's more media attention to it, it doesn't change how you function your day-to-day. It doesn't change your routine on game day in terms of how you prepare and how you get ready. And so it's another game as a player. You can only focus on the things that you can control. The fact of the matter is you're out of the playoffs. All right, that's it. But what can I control as me as a player, as an individual? I can go about what I do the same, because that's who I am as a player. And so I think that's how you approach it. That's how you got to approach it. And that's how the great ones do.
You know, I think it's really interesting because in week 18, like you could easily see everybody check out completely. But this is the whole thing with the NFL and tanking. Any concerns about tanking? It doesn't happen because, as Robert points out, these guys are pros and they're going out there to win. And if it's Week 18, you're on a bad football team, you might be looking for a job next year. You might be a free agent. You might be, trying to impress the other team or the other coaching staff, whoever it is. This tape is going to get watched, even if it's in a meaningless game. And it is kind of telling that in the NFL, the only teams that actually lay down completely in Week 18 are the ones who are already in the playoffs and have their positions secured. So it is a purely professional league, and that's why these guys always get up, even for the Week 18 games.
Yeah, how many Giants fans remember last year? We're better off losing games here. The players go out and win. The coaches go out and win. Draft stock be darned, if you know what I mean. All right, guys, thank you so much